Welcome to the Build Your Own Business podcast. My name is Lauren Lonsdale, and I am a serial entrepreneur who has started, scaled, and grown several businesses over the past 12 years. And together with my husband, we have helped hundreds of clients do the same. This podcast is for those small business dreamers who are wanting to take the leap into starting their very own business, as well as those business owners who have big dreams of scaling their business. We provide step-by-step how-to guidance, discuss growing pains in your business, and give real-life business lessons and advice that you can apply to your own business. So BYOB and pull up a seat because we are going to build your business. Welcome back to the Build Your Own Business podcast. My name is Lauren Lonsdale. My husband, James, is not here today. As I've talked about before, he's an active duty Marine, so he pops into our podcast when he can. But today it's just you and me, a little bit of intimate discussion about building your very own business. Today's podcast is about taking your idea and bringing it to execution. What I mean by that is that execution in this case is not getting your product on a shelf or establishing the service and starting to provide it or booking a client. What I mean by this is that you have this idea, and now instead of just being an idea, we're going to take the first step into starting to build this business. So we're going to talk about how that works, what you should be doing, what you should be thinking about in terms of making this idea, in executing it into that first big leap into I'm a small business owner, or I'm starting my small business, even if it's kind of on the side, not a full-time job. We're still going to bring that idea and we're going to execute it into now I'm a business owner. And so what you should be thinking about as you kind of develop this idea and you develop this product or you develop this service for your clients, what you should be thinking about and things to keep in mind from the beginning that I myself as a business owner have wished I would have done in the beginning to help set myself up for growth in the future. All right, so let's dive in. So what we're going to talk about in this podcast, how it's going to kind of be broken down in this episode, is first we're going to talk about the different types of businesses based on, how I typically see businesses spread out or categorized. And then you're going to fall into probably one of those categories, maybe multiple, but at least one is going to be your primary. And then we're going to take kind of fake products or fake brands, so to speak, and talk about how, if we were to start that, how we would bring that idea to execution, step by step, what that might look like for you. To start off, in terms of how I generally like to approach this, now I consider myself a serial entrepreneur, which basically means I have lots of ideas, I have several businesses, and I like to do new things all the time. I'm providing new services or new products or new memberships or courses or whatever it is. I enjoy this development part, which is part of why we started the Build Your Own Business podcast, because this is one of my favorite things to talk about in terms of building businesses. But one way I really like to evaluate this, and I highly recommend you get out a piece of paper and a pen and start writing some things down, even while we're talking, or some notes, because we're going to be talking about really looking at your product, your business, your service, whatever it is, from the customer standpoint. This is the first thing I like to do when developing a business idea, because I like to see, okay, is this plausible for my lifestyle, for how my life currently is in my current location, especially if you're listening as a military spouse or a military veteran. Do you have the capability of doing this in your current duty station? Maybe, maybe not. It's really important to build our businesses from the beginning for the life we want to have and for the way we want it to look and to fit into our lives. And so I think looking at this from a customer and client perspective, you're able to see, okay, from a client perspective, if this is what I would want, or a customer perspective, this is what I would want. Okay, can I do that? How would I make this work for us? What do I need to do? What systems do I need? What do I need to start researching? It really helps you to start building that business idea, not necessarily a business plan, but really a list of things you need to start considering to make this possible for yourself and for the way you live your life or want to live your life. Okay, so first things first, like I said, get out a piece of paper and a pen, and we're going to start jotting down some things based on what type of business you have. We have, I like to categorize it as product-based, service-based, or creative-based. So product-based is a physical product that you are selling, whether it is a toy, a beauty product, a lip balm, a tumbler, a piece of clothing, whatever it is that you are, a physical product that you are handing to the customer. A service-based business is what it sounds like. It's a service. So things like what we do here, consulting, life coaching, web design, virtual assistants, anything that you provide a service where you're not physically, wedding planners, where you're not physically engaging or giving a physical product to the client, meaning something tangible that they can hold. Usually it's online based or digital based. And so that's another type of business. The last type of business I like to kind of separate, it can be considered service based, but the reason we separate it, at least in terms of the Startup Collective courses, is because it needs a little bit different in terms of execution to the client, which is creative based, meaning artists, hairstylists, nail techs, massage therapists, people like that. So more somebody who needs kind of a booking type situation. And I like to separate that within the courses for a particular reason, but you can be considered service-based as well. So in the purpose of this podcast, we're going to take those three different types of businesses and kind of develop a execution plan for those different types of businesses. I like to start off with thinking about, if I was a customer, what would this look like for me? As you are building out this kind of vision of what a customer might experience within your business, you will start to think to yourself, okay, if I want the customer to have this, or if I was the customer, I would want this. How is the business, as a business owner or as the business, would I make this happen? What kind of systems do I need? What processes do I need? What do I need to be thinking about? Now it's going to start to feel overwhelming. You're going to be like, but wait, I don't know how to do product development. I don't know how to do packaging. I don't know how to build a website or email marketing or any of these things. That's okay. We're not diving into those particular things of how to do XYZ. Right now, we're just thinking, okay, I've got this great idea. What do I need to do to get this started and get it off, what's the term I'm looking for? To get it started, to take off, and to make that first step into the business and to start making it actually happen. Because even though you might think broadly with this kind of execution plan, you're going to start to see the little things poke out and you're going to be like, okay, well, if I need packaging, I need a logo. So if I need a logo, I need to figure out my colors. If I need to figure out my colors, what else do I need to figure out for my brand? And then we start getting into the nitty gritty and we have actual tangible steps that we can follow to say, okay, step one, I need this. Step two, I need this. And it makes it a little bit easier to swallow as you're developing your business. All right. So we're going to get started right now with the product-based business. So you are welcome to fast forward or rewind to the parts that apply to you. You're welcome to listen to the whole thing. At the end of this episode, once we finish talking about all three, we are going to talk about some things that I wish as a business owner I had done from the very beginning to set myself up for success for growth and scaling. All right, so let's dive into our product-based businesses. Okay, so for the purpose of this episode, we are going to be talking about our product-based business is going to be a beauty product. We are going to call it Lily's Lip Balm, and we're going to talk about, okay, you have an idea for this Lily's Lip Balm. How do we get this business started? Now, please save this episode and make sure you subscribe because we will be having a podcast episode here in a couple of weeks with another girl, also named Lauren. That's why I said another girl. Which I'm not a girl, I'm a woman, but I feel like I'm a girl sometimes. So with another woman, business owner named Lauren here in Okinawa with me in Japan. And she is a product development developer specifically for beauty-based products. So she helps with the production and the packaging and all those things kind of behind the scenes of getting your beauty-based product out into the world. So if you're a beauty-based product, you're definitely going to want to stick around and listen for that episode and wait for that episode. But for today, we are Lily's Lip Balm. and we are going to make our very own idea come to execution. So if I'm ready to purchase a lip balm, I'm coming as a customer. How am I going to get this lip balm? In what ways can I order it? We're not even going to talk about the marketing part of it. That's a whole nother thing about how I find out about it. But let's talk about how I'm going to order it. So let's see, I might want to order it from a website. So, okay, you might need a website. And then am I going to put on Amazon? What other places am I going to sell this product? So let's say website and Amazon. You're going to need to create an Amazon seller account, research how that works for you, what you might need to do as an Amazon seller, and then what you are going to need to do to create your own website. What type of website platform should you be on? Normally for product-based businesses, I recommend Shopify. Okay, so now you have your products up on a website and a customer can order them. So as the customer, I've now picked my lip balm, or I've now come to the website to purchase, or Amazon to purchase. What types of products do I want to have? Or do I want the customer to be able to experience? Is it just lip balms? Is it lip gloss? What do these look like? Are they different flavors? Are they different colors? How many different options do I want to offer in the beginning? Maybe it's just one. Maybe it's 5. And what would that look like for you? So you're starting to develop this idea of what the products might look like for your customer. And I bet you, because I am now, I bet you as you're thinking about this, what the website looks like, you probably even have a color scheme in your mind about what you want that website to look like, right? So you might even beginning to think about your own brand without even realizing you're thinking about your brand. So you have these lip balms. Okay, so now you've got this here that they can come to your website. They have these options. These are the options you want. So you're going to write down the different options you think you might want for the customers and the clients with different types of products. And it doesn't even have to be the beginning stages. It could be 5 years down the road. These are the types of products I would like to have. That's one of my tips at the end that you're going to hear if you're not listening to this product-based one, or if you are, and you'll hear it again at the end, is that one of my tips is to think about your growth. Do not think about what this looks like in this moment. Think about what you want this to look like 5 years, 10 years down the road. Because one of the hardest lessons that beginning business owners seem to find that when they're starting a business from the ground up, that they didn't establish things in the beginning to prepare them for growth. They did what was needed right at that moment, but now they are 3 years down the road. They need a whole new website because their website's not going to support. They need a whole different email marketing system because that's not going to support. They need to reevaluate their packaging because it's not going to support. So even if it's different now than it's going to be in 5 years, you can at least start to think, okay, do I just want to offer lip balms? Do I want to offer lotions? Do I want to offer serums? Like what types of things do you maybe want to offer in the future? Just ideas, right? We're just kind of getting all the feelers out here for it. Okay, so a customer comes in, they see the lip balms, they make their choice. So now you need to have a website, you need to have some sort of payment processing platform for them to collect payment. And now it's got to be shipped. So, okay, so now I got to think about how am I going to get this product out there? Shipping. How am I going to package it? What does that packaging look like? What types of platforms will I use for shipping? How do I print a label? How do I package it? Am I going to be having it sent out for packaging? Am I going to be doing this in-house? Do I need sticker labels? What does this look like? Where do I want to ship to? How much is shipping going to cost me? How much is packaging going to cost me? All of these things are something you're going to start considering as you're bringing your idea to execution. Okay, next step, client or customer purchases it. You're ready to ship it. It goes out the door to be shipped. Now what? You need a customer probably wants an email confirmation that they have ordered something and it has shipped. So how do we send those out? Okay, so email confirmation for ordering, email confirmation for shipping. And then what? The customer gets the product. Now, how do you want this to look for you? Do you want them to post on social media? How do you ask them to do that? Do you send them follow-up emails to please send to social media, or please post on social media with a particular hashtag? Do you want them to write a review on your website? How do you get them to do that? Do you want them to write a review on Amazon? What does that look like for you there? And all of those things. So let's talk about that part. After the person gets the product, let's say you want them to review it, there's a couple ways that you could do it. You could send an email saying, I see you got your product. I hope you love it. Please share a picture on Instagram and tag us and use this hashtag if you love this product. You can send them an email for a review. Please give us a Google review us on Amazon. You can offer a special discount if you want them to review it on any of these different platforms. And then they have their product in hand. Now we're starting to think about, okay, you've acquired this customer, they've purchased it. How can you get them to rebuy? So now you're thinking about, how do I continue to market to these people, whether it's through social media or email marketing? If I want to continue to have them purchase, which is reacquisition, how do I do that? I can send them continuing emails about new products, discounts, seasonal things. I can send them, they can be on social media. So now you know you need email marketing. You're probably going to need social media platforms. What does that look like for you? Do you want to be taking pictures and videos and making reels? Do you know how to do that? Is that something you need to research? Do you want somebody else to do that? Do you want to outsource that? What does that look like? Pictures for your products. If you are going to be taking pictures for that, what do you want that to look like? Do you want that? Do you know how to take product photos? Do you need to learn how to do that? All things that you're going to have to kind of think about from the customer aspect. And then you start to develop, you can start seeing it. You can start thinking, okay, how do I do this? Okay, but if I am putting these on my website, how do I get the pictures up there? How do I take the pictures? How do I get the email sent out? How do I get the payment processed? How do I get the shipping done? And all of these things start to fall into place as you look at what this looks like for a customer. Now, this is very high level. We could go nitty gritty into each little aspect of what this could look like for you as a product-based business owner. It's part of what we do at the Startup Collective for our courses. But this is kind of the high level, giving you an example of what this could look like for you as a small business dreamer who has a product-based business. If you want to start taking that idea and getting that first step out the door of, okay, how do I make this work? You're going to start with the customer experience, write down what that looks like, and then you're just going to have this big list of things that you have to either research, learn, figure out on your own, but it gives you a tangible, okay, I want to start with the brand. I want to look at my colors and how my logo. Okay, now I want to do my website. Okay, now I've got to figure out how to develop the product. Or you do it the other way around. You develop the product first, and then you talk about the branding. Completely up to you. And we will dive into this more when we get to our episode with Lauren about developing a beauty product from the ground up and products in general. So please subscribe so you can get notification on that episode. So that's kind of the high level of product-based business, idea to execution. Let's move into our service-based. Okay, for our service-based business owners, our brand, our service is going to be a life coach or an executive coach, kind of coaching in general. This is pretty common in the service-based industry and something that we can think about high level. Even if you are not a coach, this same sort of stuff will apply to you. So that's what we're going to work through right now. Service-based businesses are my bread and butter. It is what I do. So I am very familiar with some of the systems and processes that you can utilize for a service-based business. We're going to start with you having an idea to be a coach. Now, as a coach, you might have some coaching training. You might have a certification. So you might have an idea already of what this looks like for you or what type of coaching you want to do. If you're a different service-based business and you don't have any certifications or training, you at least have some skill sets that you're bringing to the table as a service-based business owner. And so you're going to have some of that already set up for you, some ideas of what you're going to be offering. So as a service-based business owner, when I want to offer a new service or I'm starting a new brand, the first thing I like to do is think about what I want my customers to experience when coming to me. We just talked about this with our product-based business. If you listen to that, great, you know where this is going. If you didn't and you fast forwarded to the service-based, totally fine. Let's dive into that part. So as a service-based business owner, like I said, I like to look at it from the customer experience. What do I need for the customer or the client experience? What do I need when the client comes to me and wants to utilize one of my services, what do I want to offer them? What do I want that to look like for them? Do I have lower based services? Do I have higher based? Do I want them to start with a lower based and go up to a higher ticket item? Do I want my higher ticket item to be the main attraction and offer some of these lower ticket ones? What does that kind of look like for me? So typically what happens when I'm ready to establish a new service is that I will take all the itty bitty pieces of what I want that service to look like from the customer experience. So if a customer is coming to me and wants to do a one-on-one consulting or coaching session, how do I want that to look? I want them to come to my website. I want them to be able to book a call with me without interacting with me directly because I'm in a different time zone. I am busy, a busy mom. I don't want to have to sit and go back and forth with the client about timing and things like that. Also, one thing to keep in mind is if you are booking somebody or asking them to schedule a call, more than likely them having an opportunity to schedule a call right away when they've said, I want to schedule a call, you will convert them a lot easier than saying, hey, send me an email first and then we'll schedule a call. You're probably going to lose a good chunk of people because they don't want to wait for you to respond and then da 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 da. If you can catch them when they're being spontaneous and when they're like, I'm ready to do this right now, more than likely you're going to catch more of those people. Of course, you're going to catch some people who don't mind waiting to hear back from you or are okay with that process, but most people, they want to book the call right away. So I want them to book a call. Okay, so I need a website for them to be able to book a call. I need some sort of booking platform. What does that look like? I need it to integrate with my calendar so I can make sure that nobody double books. I need to make sure I schedule it during coaching times. Schedule the coaching times during times that I am definitely free and distraction free. What does that look like based on my time zone, where I live, especially if you're coming as a military spouse or military veteran, we're in all different time zones. What does that look like for you? Okay, so now they've booked the call. What do I want to happen now? I'd like them to get a welcome email that talks a little about who I am, what services I offer, not only the coaching and consulting or whatever service they've booked with you, or even just a discovery call. What services do I offer? So I offer all of these services. This is what we do, high level. Can't wait to talk to you. Please let me know a little bit more about your goals, your ideas, your project, whatever it is based on your service. And then they'll get that booking call or that confirmation email basically from you. And then you're going to have your call. What does that call look like for you? How do you want to interact with the client? For me personally, just to give you a little bit of high level stuff, for me personally, I like to have the client talk about themselves first. And I say, please tell me about who you are as a person, not just your business, but who you are as a person. I want to know that. The reason I want to know that is because I think it's really valuable to know who this person is. One, to make sure we're a good fit. And two, because that impacts the way they run their business. So I like to know who they are. Do they have kids? Do they have pets? Are they moving? Do they have life transitions coming up? What does life look like for them? And then from there, I ask them about their project, what they're looking to do or what they need from me, depending on what that is. So you might want to say, okay, this is what, tell me about your business or about your project. And then from there, I will go into whatever ideas I might have for them. So again, it depends on what you're doing as your service. But then I start to give my input, whatever it might be, my consulting, my services, my process, whatever that looks like. Okay, so now you've had this call with them. You also have to think about payment. Are you going to collect payment before you talk to them? Is this a discovery call and then you're going to set up a service for them after? And then how do you collect that payment? So again, look, it's the customer experience. When they book a call with you, let's say a discovery call, that's often what coaches start with. Before they even do the consulting, they'll do a discovery call so that they can learn about the person and make sure you're a good fit. You have this 15-minute discovery call. What happens next? Are you going to send them more details about the services? Are you going to send them a project contract and invoice or a coaching contract and invoice? How are you going to send that? What platform do you want to send that information on? Do you need an outside platform? Are you going to do it manually? Do you want that to be automated? What does that look like? So that's something you're going to have to research and learn. Booking platforms, or invoicing platforms, contracting platforms, proposal platforms, all of this. A CRM is basically what it means, customer relation management system. There's several out there that you can utilize. I utilize Honeybook, Dubsado is one, Moxie's another one. There's a bunch out there depending on your needs. So that's something you're going to research as you bring your idea to execution. Okay, so now you have the client did a discovery call. Let's say you sent them a contract and an invoice. They've paid, great. Now you're moving on to the execution of your services. So this really gets into the nitty gritty of what you want your services to look like. So maybe you have 3 different services that you're offering. How is that going to look for you? And this is my big tip for those who are service-based. If you listen to my the product-based one, you heard something kind of similar, but this is a little bit more specific. As a service-based business owner, when you have these services, I highly, highly, highly recommend you writing your standard operating procedures or your SOPs for how these services are executed from the beginning. Even if these change over time, having these SOPs in place not only give you a checklist of, okay, I need to do this first, this second, this third, but it also, as you grow and scale, it will give those who you bring onto your team SOPs that you already have established. You don't have to sit there and write SOPs when you're in the middle of a growth phase. That is very difficult to do, to take the time away from your growing business to write these SOPs and to remember all the steps that you at that point probably do without even thinking about it. So I highly recommend, as you're developing this business idea, writing down how you want these services to look for your client. What is the client going to experience when they do a coaching consultation with you, when you do a web design for them, when you do email marketing for them, whatever it is that you're doing? What does this look like for them as a client experience? And then how are you going to execute it? So that's my big tip. Write your SOPs from the beginning. And then we come to oftentimes the close of a client, whether this means, do we have ongoing services with them, or is this a one and done? What happens after the client is done with you? Are you going to send them an email for a testimonial? Testimonials are great to use on social media. They're great to use on your website. How are you going to send them that email? Is it automated? Is it personalized? Are you going to be sending it manually? When do you send it? Do you send it right after you're done? Do you send it 2 months after you're done, 2 weeks after you're done with their project or their consultation? How do you keep in touch with them? Because even though you may be a service-based business and it might feel one and done, oftentimes you do have people who re-engage with you. So how do you keep up with them? Are you going to be sending newsletters? Are you going to be writing blog posts? It's a great way. Blog posts are a great way to up your SEO and a great thing for service-based businesses to do. I know it sounds archaic, but it really does help your website. Search engine optimization is what SEO stands for. Your website to be found on Google when you constantly have new content coming up based on what services you provide. So are you going to be writing blog posts and then sending those in a newsletter to your previous clients so you can keep up to date with them? Are you going to follow them on LinkedIn? What does your social media look like? How are you going to re-engage them on social media or attract people on social media? Are you going to do reels? Are you going to do product photos? Do you need to have somebody do brand photos for you? Another pro tip is that if you are doing branding photos, and this actually works for product-based too, branding and product photos, I highly recommend engaging with a photographer in your local area and setting up a subscription program. Basically, every 6 months or every quarter, have a new branding shoot. Oftentimes, they'll discount your shoot for you because you're doing it recurringly. And this gives you new product photos or new branding photos to be used on social media and your website. So again, that's kind of like the high-level look into a service-based business, what that could look like from an idea to execution. When you start writing down your customer experience, you really will start to see all these little nitty-gritty things that you have to work on to get this business started. And when you see these nitty-gritty things, you're going to start to think, okay, I see this thing. I can do this today. I can take that first step. All right. So again, it's a lot of things that we are talking about today. So I'm going to jump right into our creative-based business. If you are a service-based business, of course, please subscribe. We're going to be talking about this like in depth, the little nitty-gritty things that you should be doing for these these particular types of businesses as we get into web design and email marketing and social media, how we can work with that with your particular type of business. So make sure you subscribe. But if you are a creative-based business, like a hairdresser or nail tech, this next part's for you. So for this part of the podcast, we are going to be talking to those who are creative-based businesses. These are hairdressers, nail techs. The reason I separate them from a service-based business, even though you are providing a service, is because oftentimes you need some sort of booking capability, meaning you have different services that you are booking out and the people are physically coming to visit you. And that is a photographer, things like that. That is a little bit different when we're kind of developing some of the tech side of the business. So that's why we kind of keep it separate. A lot of what we're going to talk about, or a lot of what we just talked about for the service-based business, actually applies to you. So you can go back and listen to that and get some idea, but we're still going to talk about the nitty-gritty about being a service-based or a creative-based business. So for a creative-based business, again, I like to look at this from a customer experience or a client experience. What is going to happen when they are getting ready to book a session with you? Now, we are going to use a hairdresser as our example today. So if you are a hairdresser or photographer or artist or whoever, you're actually working with people, they're coming to you, a therapist, whatever, this is great for you. So when you have somebody come, or when you are ready to gain clients, how is that going to work? Oftentimes you're going to need a website. So that's one thing. What website platform should I be on? Something to research. And how are they going to book with you? So that's another thing. How do they book a appointment with you? What do you want those appointments to look like? How do you want them organized throughout your day? When are you going to offer appointments? That's one thing to start thinking about as you begin this execution phase. Okay, so let's say you've got your website, they've booked a call or booked an appointment with you. What types of services are you offering that they're going to be booking that appointment? So as a hairdresser, are you going to be offering a cut and color, blowouts, highlights, biolage? What are you offering and what services, what will that look like? And what is your pricing for those different services? Are you going to bundle things together? So if they do a biolage and a cut, is a little bit of a discount? What does that look like for you? So you're going to start thinking about, okay, what services do I want to offer? How do I want to book those out? How long are these going to take for each of these services? And making sure that the booking fits in. Again, you don't have to worry about the tech side of it yet, but this is part of like your idea to execution, because that helps you think about what you want your day to look like as a person, because your business is your business, yes, but you are a person you might be a mom or a parent, or you might have special needs or something, whatever it might be. What do you want this to look like for who you are, and how does that fit into your life? So then you're thinking about your services, how you're going to bundle things, the timing wise, how many appointments can you take a day? How many appointments can you take a week? Are you going to work weekends? All of those things. So let's say you have the client comes, they booked an appointment with you, they picked their service. What now? Do you have them pay immediately? Do you have them pay a deposit? Do you not have them pay it all until they see you? So if you need payment ahead of time, what does that look like? You need a payment processor. Okay, so now that's another thing that you have to think about, payment processor. If you are going to have them pay in person, you also need a payment processor. How are you going to have them pay in person? What does that look like? How are you going to keep track of that money? So you need your budget tracker, and you need to figure out how you're going to keep all of those things in mind. And then you have them come, and let's say, okay, they've paid a deposit. Let's say they paid a deposit. Now they show up to their appointment. You complete the service. Now what? Okay, so that's one thing. You've completed the service. But then you also have to think, especially for people who have people physically visiting them, what if they don't show up? Now what? What do you do if somebody doesn't show up? Do you send them an email as a reschedule? Do you offer or not offer, do you take the deposit from them? What if they didn't pay a deposit and they didn't show up? How do you kind of evaluate that as a customer in the future? Is there a reason they didn't show that's a valuable reason? Or is it just that they just didn't show up? Are they just a complete no-show? What does that look like for your business in terms of your policies for no-shows? So that's one side. But then what if they do show up and you do complete the service? Now what? Are you going to be taking pictures of the before and after? sharing those on social media? Do you need a release for that to say yes, that they will allow you to share these pictures? Are you going to take videos and reels? Do you know how to do that? Do you know how to do social media videos? What does that look like for you to have to learn how to do that? And then once they've completed the service, what about reviews? How are you going to collect a review or a testimonial from them? Because that's a great way to engage with new customers, is to have their testimonials and say, hey, please review me. Are you going to have them review on Google? Are you going to take a verbal review right then and there when they are finished with their service? Are you going to ask them to send you an email? What does that look like? And then to have clients come back, that's called re-engagement or reacquisition. How are you going to get these clients to come back? Are you going to send them emails about any specials you have or any discounts or any new services that you provide? So are you going to need an email marketing platform? What does that look like for you? Are you going to need somebody to write those emails? All of these things are things that you have to think about as a creative-based business. And I know it sounds, for all three of these that we just talked about, I know it sounds really daunting, and it sounds like, oh my gosh, there's so many things to think about, so many things I didn't even consider when I had this big idea. But as you write the customer experience out and you start to see all these different little things that you have to do in order to bring this idea to execution, to take that first step, you're going to have something tangible, a tangible list of things that you can say, okay, I've got to do step 1. This is what I need to think about first. This is, I need to think about production, or I need to think about what services I'm going to provide, or I need to think about, how I'm going to, the contracts I'm going to write for my clients, or what my services look like when I engage with the clients. Those are all things that you're going to start to think about, and you're going to have actual, real, tangible first steps of how to start building your very own business. Okay, so now that we have these tangible steps written down, and maybe you wrote some down, maybe you're just not sure where to even begin yet, and you're going to have to take some time to digest this. It's totally fine. Listen to the episode again for your particular business. I'm going to give you some tips about things that have helped me as a business owner that I wish I had done from the beginning, that I'm going to give to you. And I have mentioned these tips throughout the episode. If you've listened to the whole thing, you're going to hear them again. If you only listen to your part, you're going to hear your part again. But these are actual tips that I have that I say, I wish I would have thought of this as a business owner to help me grow and scale appropriately, because that's what we all want to do, right? Is grow and scale our business. So tip number 1 that I have for you is to think about where your business is going to be, or where you want it to be in the next few years. You are going to have an idea of how to get your business started right now, and you might have certain systems and processes in place that work right now. But are those systems and processes going to work 5 years down the road, or even 3 years down the road? If you are a product-based business, this usually is especially important. For you, you might have a product that you're offering right now, but in the future, you might want to offer a plethora of products. So this is really important for you to kind of consider, hey, this might work for me right now, but in a few years, and when I have more products, am I going to be able to use these systems and processes? And it is okay to use a system and process that works right now, with the knowledge that you're going to have to probably change or might need to change. And that can come up no matter what. But if you do right now think about what you want your business to look like in the next few years, that can really help you think about what platforms you want to be on, what email marketing you might want to use, what type of product development you want to be considering from the beginning, whatever it might be based on your particular business. The other tip I have is to write your standard operating procedures from the beginning. When it's just you and you are just doing everything, you're going to think it's such a pain to write these, or it's unnecessary because you're the only one doing it. You know what you're doing. But SOPs, standard operating procedures, can help you not only make sure that you are ticking off everything, especially as a service-based or creative-based business owner, that you are ticking off everything on your checklist to create a great client experience or even a customer experience. But then as you grow and scale, this gives you something that your team members that you will eventually bring on, you have actual SOPs that you can hand to them right away without having to sit there and write them out when you're in this growth phase. It's so hard when you're in a growth phase to take a step back and say, okay, now I've got to write these SOPs. I don't even remember what I do for all of these. They're so automated, or it's, it's so easy for me. And so to go back to write step by step of what you've been doing for the last year or 2 years can be really difficult. So I highly recommend writing these SOPs down of every single little thing: how you send an email, how you send a proposal, how you send an invoice or a contract, how you execute services, how you ship things, how you package things. Every single thing should have an SOP so that when you have somebody come onto your team, you can say, here it is. Thing I would say is my biggest tip from the beginning is to collect testimonials and reviews. Testimonials and reviews can increase your brand trust and authority like that. No matter if you are a product-based or service-based or creative-based business, everyone wants to know other people who have utilized you or your product to know that it does what they want it to do. It provides the service, provides the transformation, whatever it is. They want to know, so-and-so did this before. Okay, great. Now I know that I can trust this person. I can trust this product. So from the beginning, even though you might be like, I'm so new, maybe I'm not really good at this yet, chances are people are loving what you're doing and they're going to keep coming back to you. And that is how you can get that word out there to say, hey, this person really liked what I did for them. This is what they experienced. This is what their life is like now after working with me, or how they look after working with, after I provide this service to them. And you can share that on social media. You can share that on your website. It increases your brand trust and authority like that. And it is one of the best ways to kind of increase that brand trust and authority. And I actually have one more tip that I thought of. My last absolute tip from the beginning is network, network, network. I do not mean on social media DMing people. I do not mean just doing social media management. I mean, talk to people about what you do. People don't know what you're selling unless you tell them you're selling it. When you go to a networking event, a professional networking event, obviously you're going to talk about what you do and what you provide. Get your 30-second elevator pitch ready to go. So when you talk to people, you can quickly tell them, this is what I do, this is what I provide, this is how it works, based on your business. And then that is simple enough. But outside of professional networking events, you go to an event with your spouse. This is what I do. You meet new people at your kid's soccer game. Tell them what you do. Even if those people can't use you, they might know somebody who can. And there you go. Now you have this networking or this network of people who will be coming to you because they know you have this product or service or whatever you might be providing. That is the number one way I feel to grow your business, is to develop that networking event or that networking system outside of developing a community, is to just tell people what you're selling or what you do in person, not on social media. You are going to get bogged down with influencers and all these other people whose algorithms are crazy high and they're getting all the views. It's really hard to break out in social media as someone brand new. It's possible, but it's hard. When you talk to people and you tell them what they do, what you do, or what you sell, that is what's going to start getting your name out there. Nothing like a little grassroots campaigning. Okay, so that is it for today's episode. Again, kind of broke it down into our service-based, our product-based, and our creative-based businesses. And you came up with a formula, so to speak, to bring your idea to execution, because I know that as a new business owner, you might have this grand old idea, but taking the first step to saying, okay, I have this idea, now what? That's a huge first step. That's a leap, not a step. That is a leap. And when you can sit down and start writing down how this looks for a customer, then you're going to start to see how this business can start being built. And then you're going to see how it can grow and how it can scale. All right. So my name is Lauren Lonsdale. This is the Build Your Own Business podcast. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you subscribe. Remember, we are going to have Lauren on for a product-based business. We are going to dive into how to do websites and email marketing and all the tech side of these different businesses throughout this entire podcast series. So please stay tuned, and I hope to see you next time. Thanks so much. Thank you so much for joining us today. I hope we gave you some valuable insight into building and growing your own business. Head over to the Startup Collective to learn more about building your business from the ground up. We teach you how to get started in your business to include designing a high converting website, creating your email marketing, growing your audience and customer base through social media and digital marketing, and even business photography and more. If you're in the scaling phase of your business, join our Grow Your Own Business group coaching. We will give you weekly tasks and accountability in growing your business the right way, and we actually show you how to do it. Visit us at thestartupcollective.co today and follow us on Instagram at The Startup Collective. Dream, start, build, and grow. See you next time.